Breast milk doesn't have nutrients after 6 months. I don't have enough milk for my baby. The baby was not hungry yet. Hi, I'm Xena, an international board-certified lactation consultant. I offer in-person services in the Houston, Texas area and telehealth consultations worldwide. In today's video, we will be covering 4 common feeding mistakes that many parents make and how to avoid them. Let's dive into the 4 common feeding mistakes. Mistake number 1. I have heard a lot of things like breast milk doesn't have nutrients after 6 months. Breast milk doesn't have immune boosters after 1 year old. But actually, breast milk continues to provide important nutrients and immune benefits well beyond a child's first year. It's still a great source of energy, fats, proteins that help meet the changing needs of a growing child. Additionally, breast milk is rich in antibodies and other immune factors that help protect toddlers from various illnesses and infections as their own immune systems continue to develop, especially in families with older children who may bring some viruses or bacteria. The antibody produced in the mother's breast milk can provide some strong protection for the baby. Even as toddlers start to eat more solid foods and diversify their diets, breast milk can complement their nutrients intake. The World Health Organization and the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends babies should be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months, then continue breastfeeding while introducing solid foods up to 2 years of age or beyond. Second mistake. Many mothers worry that they are not producing enough milk. It's important to have confidence. Almost all mothers can achieve exclusive breastfeeding with the right guidance and support. I have already shared a video discussing the baby's stomach capacity during the first year, where we covered the varying capacities of babies' stomachs at different stages. This helped clarify exactly how much milk your baby needs. For instance, on the first day after birth, a baby's stomach capacity is only 5 to 7 milliliters. This is 5 milliliter. Above the size of a blueberry or cherry, so do not be stressed. The most important thing is it let your baby and you practice latch. In my clinical experience, I have also encountered mothers who have undergone surgery or treatment that involved the removal of one breast milk gland, meaning that the breast can no longer produce milk. Even in these cases, with proper support, the remaining healthy breast can produce enough milk to exclusively breastfeed. In fact, such mothers often have an even stronger desire to exclusively breastfeed. They particularly may need to consult with a lactation consultant. For healthy newborn, it is recommended to alternate between breasts during each feeding session with 15 to 20 minutes on each side. For example, if you start by feeding on the left breast, then followed by the feeding on the right breast. In the next feeding, you would ideally start with the right breast and then switch to your left breast. In practice, some mothers find that their breasts are different in size or milk production. In these cases, it's important to discuss specific feeding plans with a lactation consultant. Mistake number 3. Many new parents have heard the recommendation that newborns should be fed every 2 to 3 hours. While this is almostly true, it's not completely correct. According to guidelines for trusted organizations, newborns should be fed 8 to 12 times within a 24 hours period in their first days of life. If you divide 24 hours by 8 to 12 feedings, you arrive at the recommendations of feeding every 2 to 3 hours. However, in real-life situations, especially with breastfed babies, they might feel hungry shortly after feeding. Sometimes the shortest time between feedings could be just 1 hour or even less than 1 hour. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention (CDC's) guidelines also mention that feeding a newborn every 1 to 3 hours on the first day is completely normal. Additionally, some premature or NICU babies may require more than 12 feedings per day. I will include the CDC's newborn breastfeeding recommendations below for reference. And on the other hand, for some babies, as long as the baby is healthy, don't worry too much if they sleep slightly over 3 hours at night. For example, if 3 hours have passed and 10 more minutes, there's no need for concern. What matters more is ensuring the baby is fed 8 to 12 times within a 24-hour period. If your baby feeds less frequently during the night, focus on observing their hunger cues during the day. Once you spot early or mid-stage hunger cues, respond promptly and feed your baby. This is the essence of feeding on demand. For more details on hunger cues, please refer to my videos on the top. Fourth mistake. Scheduled feeding means adhering to a strict routine where the baby is fed at specific times, regardless of whether the baby shows hunger cues. This mistake is similar to the third one, feeding the baby every 2 to 3 hours, both of which disregard hunger cues. But there's a slight difference. In some of my initial visits, when I ask parents about the last 24 hours of feeding, they may tell me something like 9 a.m., 1.5 ounce, 12 a.m., 1.5 ounce, and 3 p.m., 2 ounce. Following a strict schedule, however, we do not recommend following a rigid feeding schedule, day or night. Instead, we practice feeding on demand, responding to the baby's needs rather than sticking to the clock. Scheduled feeding may result in lower milk supply for mom, giddiness for baby, and a lot of crying. Let me share a common example of scheduled feeding. During my rounds once, I visited a family with a lot of visitors in the hospital room. The baby was a little bit sleepy, but still awake because of all the noise from doctors, nurses, and guests, also me. The room was busy and you could tell the baby is tired. The grandma holds the baby, said, "It's been 2 hours. It's time to feed the baby now." Feeding means breastfeeding. I observed the baby and noticed no hunger cues. Even after watching for a while, there were no early stage hunger signals, indicating that the baby was not hungry yet. Instead, the baby gave me signals showing he was tired and sleepy. The mother also mentioned that the baby often didn't open his mouth widely and would fall asleep while feeding. This is a common issue with newborns and can be caused by several factors. In this specific case, the baby was more tired than hungry. If we had tried to feed the baby right then, he likely wouldn't have opened his mouth wide enough to latch properly. So I advised them to continue observing the baby until they saw hunger cues before feeding, and also to let the baby take a nap. So once your baby shows signs of hunger, feeding becomes much easier, and your baby will be more eager to latch. As parents, learning to read your baby's hunger cues makes the process smoother and less tiring for both the mother and the baby. Therefore, we encourage feeding on demand rather than sticking to strict feeding times. Family members, especially fathers and other caregivers, can learn to recognize and observe the baby's hunger cues, allowing the mother to rest on the first few days. Once early hunger cues are identified, they can assist the mother with breastfeeding. Let's quickly recap the 4 common feeding mistakes to avoid. First, thinking breast milk loses its benefits after 1 year old. In fact, it continues to provide important nutrients and immune support. Second, worrying about not having enough milk. In fact, most moms can produce enough milk with the right support. Number 3, feeding strictly every 2 to 3 hours. Instead, focus on feeding on demand, responding to your baby's hunger cues. Fourth, sticking to a rigid feeding schedule. It's better to follow your baby's needs rather than the clock. I hope you found these tips helpful as you navigate your feeding journey. If you have any questions or want to share your experience, feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hearing from you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I will be sharing more tips and advice on breastfeeding, baby care, and parenting. You are doing an amazing job and I'm here to support you every step of the way. I'm Xena from Unique Growth. If you need support, please visit my website uniquegrowth.net. See you in the next video. Bye!